recording.
Right. You able to see everything?
Yes, I see your screen.
Okay, so at the end of this morning's session, or your last night, we got Nix formatting working. I pushed those changes, and yeah, I now have a beautifully formatted repo.
You have, and you have it. You have it's enforced via a check, NixFlake check.
Oops. Will the NixFlake check won't do formatting, will it?
It will never format. No.
Yeah. Okay, so this is not really that important, but there is this weird little warning that we don't quite understand, or I don't at least.
Nix flakes have a certain schema, input schema. That's the easier part, but the output schema includes packages, checks, apps, NixOS configurations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there are other outputs in there.
Yeah.
And not other things. So when you do something like Nix flake check and you have another, but you can have arbitrary flake outputs. They just
Mm-hmm.
end up as warnings in some flake commands.
Okay.
There's
Yeah, I guess.
discussion about custom flake schemas, but it's only discussion at this point. Flakes themselves are experimental.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we use them and we enjoy some features, but we also suffer some weird warnings and unfinished edges and so on.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess not too important to worry about now. I think the thing that would be good for me to do next would be to get NeoVim set up, some one way or another. Either I know you're familiar with NixVim, which I'm open
Yes.
to. I had experimented with NixCats, and then that got, I think, not abandoned, but archived, and the author moved on to the wrapper modules. I guess I'm somewhat familiar with the difference in philosophy of the two approaches, and my original reason for choosing NixCats was that I wanted to basically work with like Lua files largely for all the NeoVim stuff, and then Nix files for things that had to do with like dependencies being made available to NeoVim, but trying not to like cross the streams, as it were. But I'm curious what your thoughts on NixVim are, and if you're familiar with the wrapper modules from Birdie or Birdie.
I'm familiar with NixVim, like you said. An alternative to that is NVF. Wrapper modules from Birdie, and you're saying it has NeoVim?
Yeah, so it has, let me find the actual documentation. So it was briefly mentioned in a VimJoyer episode, maybe in the last month or two, maybe 3. But yeah, this is what Birdie has moved on to from NixCats. And I think there is like, I don't know if you're familiar with, I think it's TJ DeVries. He's done like some not Nix specific, but just NeoVim specific kind of zero to hero videos where he goes through like from a bare bones, no configuration at all to a pretty
I see.
functional NeoVim configuration, but it's using all the what is it, easy or lazy. There's like these lazy evaluation tools or plugin tools, as well as like Mason, I think it's called. It's like the dependency manager tool for like basically getting all your plugin dependencies, which I think all the Nix flavors of NeoVim avoid using those tools because they provide the dependencies through Nix.
Yes. I'm looking at the Nix wrapper modules for NeoVim, and it doesn't seem as much leverage as NixVim.
When you say, what
I
do you mean by leverage? Just like functionality and features and stuff?
yes, the amount of like of value that you get from NixVim that you can like, oh, I want to use this now, this plugin. You go plugin and enable true, and
Okay.
it usually just works.
Okay. You know, let's do that. Let's go down the Nixon path. You're familiar with it. I need something that's like relatively simple to set up, and maybe I'll like it enough to just use it as is. If it's not meeting my needs for some reason, I can. I think the Nix cats and the subsequent wrapper modules, NeoVim, is like the purist's approach, um, which I don't need to be a purist on this. I need to just get something that works. So, yeah, let's go down the NixVim path. So, yeah, what is the simple? And actually, before we do that, is there some other thing that you suggest we have in place prior to starting that journey?
Maybe home manager before
Yeah,
NixVim. I don't know. What
yeah.
I think NixVim NixVim is your editor though. Maybe it is good because that would allow us to, for example, unlock integrating your Nix Flake formatter
Mm-hmm.
into your editor so that you just hit save and it formats on save
Okay.
using the formatter declared in the Flake.
Yeah, so I guess the other piece to this is that one of the machines, like probably the very next machine I want to like enable all this functionality on is my work computer, which is running Ubuntu 2404. So I guess if we go down the path of NixVim now, will that not work unless we're on NixOS, or will it work even on Ubuntu if we have not set up Home Manager?
We will set up NixVim and place it in your NixOS. Later we will set up Home Manager
Okay.
in your NixOS, and we will then move the NixVim from NixOS to the home.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you want to have also some independent home for that Ubuntu,
Mm-hmm.
then the NixVim will already have been in that home instead.
Okay. Just as a rough like order of magnitude estimate of getting Home Manager set up versus NixVim set up, are those like approximately equal levels of complexity, or is one like way easier than the other?
Similar.
Similar. Okay. I'm fine either way. For some reason, I'm leaning slightly towards getting Home Manager set up first, but I don't feel strongly. So if you think it's
I
there,
recommend NixVim.
okay,
The sooner we can get auto formatting, the better. I think that's
okay, yep, okay, let's do that.
priority.
All right, so yeah, so here's the NixVim stuff.
It has a
I
manual.
guess. Hmm?
It has a manual.
Yeah, let's see. There's the setup tutorial, discussion page without flakes, using flakes.
Scroll to the top.
Ah, this. By the way, what is the tool that generates this documentation? Because it all kind of looks somewhat similar across different Nix projects.
Good question.
The
I think it's MD Book.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay, so should I go to
And if you
installation?
don't know, my multi-year personal endeavor for the most significant contribution in the Nix ecosystem, other than the podcast, is a Nix-powered documentation authoring library. I hope it will replace all these MD Book manuals.
Okay. What's yours called?
It's called Docstra, but it's not ready. It's
Okay.
it's out there, but it's not ready.
And I will just check it out.
It's not under my
Oh,
user. I can send you a link.
sure. Yeah.
There, it's in the studio chat, but don't spend
Okay.
our time on this.
Sure. Weird. Why is this not? Huh. I feel like, so does Google or GitHub search not work? Oh yeah, you have to sign in.
What are we searching for?
I was just looking into your infra for the NixVim references, but
Okay.
I have actually, let me, so, um, okay, so you have a small collection of files in your NixVim directory.
Yes, dendritic. The file you most likely want to look at this point is called use in home.
Uh, okay. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
yours is tied to Home Manager, and I guess if we're doing NixVim first, we need to make some changes there.
Yes. Um, yes. Instead of flake.modules.homemanager, well, you can start by bringing this file in and maybe giving it a different name,
Yeah.
more like use in NixOS or something like that.
Okay. Let's see. Oh,
Or sorry, I'm sorry, that's not the best starting point. Hold on.
okay.
That's not the best starting point. I'm missing a step. One step is to make it its own flake output package.
Make what its own output package?
NixVim. Here,
Okay.
I found it. It's the file's called flake outputs in the same directory.
This one.
Yes.
Okay. Um,
Yes. Would you like to try to explain what this is to me?
yeah. So, okay, we have ourselves a function, which returns an attribute set with per system attribute set to a function, which takes, I guess this is the system configured inputs. I think that's what the trailing
Inputs prime is a per system argument provided by NixFlake by flake parts
Mm-hmm.
that we can see an example to best explain it. Can you go to the NixVim repo and see the flake.nix?
Yeah.
I see. No, we won't see it here. Can you do NixFlake show
In my repo.
on Nix GitHub Nix community NixVim? Or maybe
Uh,
maybe a Nix REPL on it better. We can try the
Nix.
NixFlake show first. If
Okay.
that doesn't work, we can do a
And I
REPL.
just, and then does the URL have to be in quotes or does it matter?
It does. I think it would work either way because none of these characters are special.
Yeah.
That looks good. Okay. So what we can see here is apps, checks, and a warning, and maybe also packages at some point. You see apps, checks,
Yeah. Yeah. So apps here, checks
and
here.
maybe packages afterwards.
Yeah. Let's see. CI, dev shells, Flake modules, formatter, home manager modules, packages.
Right. And other packages, you have attributes that represent systems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So look at the file that we're making.
Mm-hmm. This guy.
Yes. You see inputs prime.
Mm-hmm.
On it, we're accessing NixVim.
Mm-hmm.
NixVim is the input
Mm-hmm.
that we will add. This is not yet. This does not yet have to do with packages.
Okay. So
Can you find Can we find legacy packages?
in that output,
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So
See the file again. You see under legacy packages,
there's
I
one for
misled you. We were discussing packages instead of legacy packages, but legacy packages has the same structure, right? It's
Mhm.
system attributes underneath.
Okay.
But
So
here,
like this
yes,
instance is essentially the
inputs. Like you'd have Nix packages in it, you'd have NixVim, you'd have the same set of inputs that your Flake has.
Mhm.
But notice that we can access legacy packages dot and skip the system.
Yeah. It's like selected the system and then removed that layer of the like tree so that it's
Right.
already selected.
Because we're already in a per system context.
Got it. Okay.
That's all this is.
Okay. So
And
then, yeah,
inputs
like
prime.
knowing about this make NixVim with module, that would be visible through either like, I guess, just searching in here.
What are you
I was just curious,
searching?
like, how did you,
It's NixVim, unlike some the projects, is documented. It's all in the manual.
mhm,
But similar to other things that you've been copying from my repo,
mhm.
um, I would like to see whether we can use this with not as a flake.
Right. Okay. Um, okay, so we're going to use NixVim as a module and not as a flake. Which means, what did we do for that? Flakes equals false or something like that?
Yes, we added the flake false. I think the first thing we need to do is to add it as an input at all. And that would probably not be in this file
Okay.
because this file is called flake outputs,
Right.
but
Okay.
maybe in the
Yes.
same directory.
Yeah. So this is the chicken and the egg thing. We have to like
Correct.
crack the egg, and I'm blanking on exactly the steps required, but um,
Let's make a new file in the NixVim directory, call it input or flake input to
okay.
be more precise.
Um, okay. So what do we need? Um,
Flake file.
in the attributes coming in.
We don't need this to be a function. We
Okay.
only declare an input. That's all we do here.
Okay. Um,
We do need it to be an adder set.
yeah, we did this for, what was it? Is it, formatting or files?
Either of them.
Okay, so then we're going to call this NixVim. This is like essentially us declaring an input.
Correct.
Oh, I just can't resist fixing it, even though I know I shouldn't.
Soon enough, you won't have to.
Is that right? I think that's it, right?
Yes. Good.
Okay. And then we need to do the imports, and which do we do the imports the same way?
The imports. I don't think we will be importing. What is the same way?
Oh,
It
above
does not
your
have a flake
module.
parts module.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. I mean, it shouldn't. I wouldn't expect it to. It does not add any value to flake parts. What it does provide and should provide, and I just was happy to see that it does provide, is a Nix packages overlay.
Okay. That's in. Where is that? Sorry, NixVim
But
provides the Nix packages overlay.
yes,
This is because they specify all their dependency versions explicitly
Hmm.
somehow, right? And that's part of how they're able to sort of provide some stability.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, by
Um,
explicitly.
I I seem to recall, didn't you? It was either you or somewhere else. I listened to a podcast with, I think it was Gaten LePage, and there was some. This is like months ago, so my memory is very fuzzy, but I remember there was some discussion about the versions of dependencies that are used and tested by NixVim. So like in their CI, they
Oh,
have a more tightly controlled set of dependency versions in some fashion. But my memory is very fuzzy, so I
well, I
maybe
don't
I'm
think any of that is relevant to what
okay.
we're trying to do, because we're basically what we're doing basically is like breaking their guarantees, and that's how Nix should work.
Mm,
When you take something, a package from the outputs of a flake, what we're doing and what we're doing is we are adopting its entire dependency tree,
mm-hmm,
and therefore we have this reproducibility guarantee
mm-hmm,
that it's the same on our machine as the developer of that software intended, with the
mm-hmm,
entire tree of dependencies the same, right?
mm-hmm.
Because it's all pinned in the flake lock.
Okay.
But we shouldn't be we shouldn't be doing that. It's not very practical, and it's not necessary for
Mm-hmm,
most cases. S- Software has tests to guarantee its correctness, right?
mm-hmm,
And if we and Nix packages is a big package set, and if we use some Nix package and we use it as an overlay instead,
mm-hmm,
and say, yes, these build instructions that the author of the package wrote in their repo,
mm-hmm.
but the dependencies will be whatever Nix package's revision I decide.
Okay.
Their package will be built with these dependencies, and if the tests, hopefully they enabled tests in their packaging, right, doing the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
If their test passes, we can say that we can rely on this software.
Sure. Okay.
So it's this trade-off between this adopt the full dependency graph tree
Mm-hmm.
or not.
Right. Right. Yeah, I guess like, yeah, it's definitely a trade-off. I see what you mean. Okay. Okay, so the approach we're taking is to not use a flake that prescribes the versions, but instead consume it as a module or a flake parts. Well, actually, no, yeah, I'm not totally sure exactly if we're not. Yeah, I guess
I,
the way we consumed the
mhm.
files repo was by specifying a specific file inside of that, and that was a flake parts module, right? Like this module.nix that we referenced from within the files repo. That
Yes.
was explicitly designed as like a flake parts module.
Yeah, because it adds a feature to the flake parts configuration.
Mm-hmm. Um, okay, so we don't have that set up in NixVim because it's not like it doesn't publish a flake parts module. So instead, we have to do something different.
Right. I've found one way,
Okay.
and that is, I told you I was happy to find it, but for a moment I misunderstood. It is an overlay, but it's not a Nix packages overlay. It's a Nix packages lib overlay.
Okay, which is lib is like the place where all the helper functions reside, and like you can override or use an overlay like essentially on a subset of the repository. Is that how that works? Because like those are all in the same repo, right? All the lib functions.
Nix packages provides a lib that's
Mhm.
the primary lib in Nix land context.
Mhm.
And it also supports overlays
Okay.
because NixVim, for example, provides some functions.
Mm-hmm.
NixVim does not provide packages, right? It
Mm-hmm.
provides you with functions to help you build your NixVim package, a NeoVim package for yourself, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So how do you obtain um, that function? Also, keep in mind the Nix code in NixVim uses Nix packages lib.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they'd have to use pure Nix, only the
Right.
built-in functions, and that would be
Silly.
depressing.
Yes. um. Yeah. Okay. So I guess you asked a question. How do we use those functions that are inside of NixVim? Is that the question?
Right. We need to obtain them.
Mm-hmm.
The manual may have something to say about that. I didn't read it, though. I just looked at the source code.
Okay. Which is probably the source.
NixVim repo.
Okay, so they have, I guess this is the one they have the NixOS modules.nixvim.
Right. But we want to use it as a standalone, not as a module first. Because
Right.
even yes, we are going to add it to NixOS, but in order to iterate, especially on something as critical as an editor,
Mm-hmm.
we want to reduce evaluation times.
Mm-hmm.
So first, we make a standalone NixVim and place it as an output of our flake. And
Okay.
then whenever we want to run it again, we just go nix run dot hash, and then whatever you want to call your NixVim configuration.
Okay.
And then we evaluate in that nix run only NixVim, not NixOS.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
there's a few seconds difference between the two
Yeah.
options.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So it's, and I guess wouldn't that, okay, so that would not necessarily be available like on this Ubuntu machine at work where there isn't NixOS. It wouldn't be available in that standalone fashion, or would it?
It would,
It would,
but
even without
you'd have
home.
to run it from the flake.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
what you really want there is a home manager.
Right. Right. Okay. So that you have things in path and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay. So this is the way we will do it. And is it NixVim with module?
Right. But we have to first obtain
Yeah.
the library.
Okay. So that's the first step to that is this flake input.nix file.
Right. And to actually regenerate the flake.
Yeah. Okay. So now, what do I have in here? Okay. So,
Nix doesn't know about these.
right. It's
And
didn't.
you want to add only flake input now.
Right. Should I even have the other one?
No, because it won't evaluate.
Should I like delete it or just not add it?
Only refrain from adding
Okay.
it.
Okay. So that did the expected thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yes.
okay. So then that flake input.next is done. There's nothing more to do with that guy.
Yes, you have the
Right.
input. The input's available.
Yep. Okay. Now the flake outputs is where this came from your repo, which uses it as a flake, I believe, or no?
It is correct. It uses it as a flake. And if you look at the documentation on the right,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see standalone usage, and you see following functions located in NixVim dot legacy package. And what is legacy packages? It's a flake output.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So this all assumes that you're using it as a flake. I don't see here. Actually, at the bottom it says for more information, see standalone usage. Maybe maybe there's something here. If you search the manual for overlay, for the word overlay. I mean, I found it in the code, but this is strange. I don't think you need this. This is not what we're looking for. This is to applying overlays only in the NixVim.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess in some ways this is useful, but not for us.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Can you bring those search results again?
Yeah.
Using a custom lib with NixVim. Can you go there using a custom lib with NixVim?
Yeah.
What they have there.
Okay.
And can you, when NixVim to build standalone mode expects lib to have NixVim's extensions. If you'd like to use a lib with your own extensions, you must apply via special args. You must ensure NixVim's extensions are also present. This can be achieved using the lib overlay available via. Again, this is the overlay can be achieved obtained via the flake output. Okay, but we have found the file NixVim lib overlay.nix.
Okay.
Let's
I'm not
go there and
okay.
take a look at that file.
Do you want to just look at that file?
Yes.
Okay. Lib.
Yes. Have you ever seen an overlay?
I feel like I was exposed to it briefly when I took the class from Jacek. Actually, he wasn't the instructor, but
Yes, I took that class.
okay. And I honestly don't remember much of the
No,
overlays.
you need more friction than just that.
Yeah.
Excellent material, but you actually have to use it after you take the course.
Right. Totally. Yeah. So I guess, roughly speaking, I don't know anything about overlays.
So this is it looks like an overlay. Why do I say that? Because it's a function that takes two arguments, traditionally called final and prev, final and prev.
Mhm.
Here it's called lib and prev, lib, whatever, and returns its extensions to the set. Its extensions to the set are NixVim, maintainers, and types. Maintainers are really inconsequential here, but NixVim will be the entry point, right? And this, if you apply this overlay to lib, then we'd end up with a lib.nixvim dot make nixvim something something.
Okay. We'd end up with okay.
We won't see any of that here, I think, in the documentation.
Okay.
It will be added to lib. So essentially, we have to override the lib somewhere. For simplicity's sake, I think we should override the lib that by default flake parts provides us with. Flake parts by default makes lib available as an argument of the top level configuration, right? And per system also gets lib.
Okay.
I make it a habit to use lib always from the top level to simplify my choices. So what I suggest is that we override that lib.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, why would there be differences between lib across systems? I sort of in my head, my mental model, perhaps incorrect, of lib
There
is
are
like
no differences.
okay, yeah, okay. So it's just syntactic convenience, I guess.
It's convenience. I think it's wrong. I wouldn't put it there.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it's like independent of the system, so it really shouldn't be placed underneath each system. It should be above it, like you said.
That's just me.
Okay. All right. So to do that, what do we need to do?
Well, I have experience overriding PKGs,
Mm-hmm.
so if it's the same, then I can tell you what to do.
Okay.
But first, before we do it, we have to decide what file it will live in.
Mm-hmm. Within basically modules NixVim, liboverlays.nix or something like that.
Well, there will be such a file. I would recommend such a file, but I think there needs to be another file for the fact that we are reassigning lib in the flake parts configuration at all, in general. Because tomorrow, the theoretical, the abstract tomorrow,
Sure.
we might want to introduce another overlay on top of our flake parts lib. And then
Okay.
it's like, well, this is currently coupled with NixVim, but it shouldn't be coupled with NixVim. We can do it right the first time.
Okay.
So how about a flake parts module called lib?
Just in the top level modules directory,
Or
in
maybe
Nix.
because lib is a Nix packages thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe it can live in the existing Nix packages.nix.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Which
Right.
essentially had this stuff that we didn't end up using.
Correct. We can ignore that.
Yeah.
So if it's anything
Okay.
like overriding PKGs in per system, it
Mm-hmm.
would be something like,
No, I didn't say
okay.
anything.
It would be something like underscore module. You have completion for some reason here.
Yeah, this is coming from my home manager NixCats stuff
Okay.
on this machine.
Okay. Dot
Ooh, look at
args.
that.
Yeah, that looks
Okay.
like NixD.
Yeah, it's like the LSP stuff.
Not equals yet. Module.args.lib. Okay, because lib is a module argument, right? It's available at the top level, just
Okay.
like inputs, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here's what we do here. We override the default for this. Could work, could not work. Let's find out.
Sure.
So we need to do what flake parts does, which is probably import this from Nix packages. Import the original one at least, right?
Okay. So it's like
Inputs, right? Inputs.nix
import.
packages. And then this is a store path, right? Store object.
Okay.
We treat it as a store object, and do you know where lib lives inside of Nix packages?
No, not off the top of my
The
head.
lib directory.
Okay.
So inside that parentheses plus / lib.
In quotes.
String, yes. inside there's a default.nix, and that's implicit, right? So that should work.
Okay.
And this would be a no change if we do this, right?
Okay. I think, yeah.
But it would confirm that we can do this.
Yeah. So if I just add, is that it?
Yes?
Okay,
Oh,
just,
well, you have to obtain inputs from the module arguments. So this module needs to be a function.
okay.
And git add.
What was the,
Oh, maybe we didn't need, maybe it's already checked. It's already checked in, of course. Okay.
yeah, I was
It's
already
an
checked
existing
in.
file.
Yeah. Okay. But,
Well, there you go. I mean, it would have failed very, very early if this
okay.
didn't work.
Okay. Okay, so let me just make sure I understand what we're doing here. I'm not familiar with this underscore module business. What is that again?
This is a way to it's another feature of the Nix packages module system.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the underscore looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
No one likes this API. I mean, the fact that the underscore is there, but then actually this is the official way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
This is for injecting arbitrary values into the arguments of all of the modules. This is in fact how inputs ends up where it is.
Okay.
I didn't look at the implementation, but it's probably the case.
Okay. So if you want to basically inject some other stuff or change what lib is being used, this is the mechanism.
Additional, yes. Lib, yeah, lib is special because it is by default in the Nix packages module system. It's not, if I said before that flake parts inserts lib there,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually wrong because the Nix packages module system is part of Nix packages lib.
Right. That's where like the eval modules function is implemented, right?
Exactly, and that's why you get. So it is a package. It's a built-in feature to have lib in every as part of the module arguments. And
Right.
so this is, I mean, in this case, like you said, to override lib or to insert, like I said, arbitrary additional values.
Okay. Okay. So lib is something that is an existing default arg, but like if you wanted to experiment with like some other thing, you could just add in some argument here, lib2 or mylib or whatever, and start playing around with that.
Yeah. And it typically will be, if you override lib, you would override it with an extension of the original, which is what we're about to do.
Okay. Okay.
If you would excuse me, I will return after I return in a moment.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. I'm back.
All right. Yeah, I vaguely remember this underscore module thing showing up in I did like the module deep dive tutorial. And they have this little note about this mechanism is currently only documented in the module system code, and that documentation is incomplete and out of date. They use it here.
I don't know if it's really document only in the module system code. Maybe it was added. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. We don't need to.
Yeah.
Let's just use it.
Okay. Fair enough. Onwards. Okay. So we want to do some more things here to extend the lib in our args with the things that
Yes.
NixVim provides or adds on to.
Right. We want to apply the NixVim overlay, the NixVim lib overlay.
Okay.
But we want to do that not here because it doesn't belong here.
Sure. Yeah.
So what do we do? We need to work with the module system, which means we need an option for that.
Okay. And
in
that in
nixpackages.nix.
Okay. So putting the option here, and then we will configure that option somewhere in NixVim.
Right. We will provide a value for that option.
Okay. But we'll declare the option here and define it somewhere else. Okay. This will be
nixpackages.lib.overlays.
Okay.
And it'll be a list of overlays. I don't think there's a type for overlay, but I've been wrong before. No, I don't think there's a type for overlay, but there's a type. But let's start with something like lib.make make option.
Wait a second.
Not a list. Lib.make option. That's right.
That takes an attribute set, right?
Correct.
I forget what make option takes. Name, type, some other things. Is that right?
Not a name. Let's start with a type. Lib types dot list of, and we need a parentheses because this is going to be lib types function 2. And argument to function 2 can be libtypes dot undefined. I don't think it matters at this point.
Undefined.
unspecified.
Okay. So what is that saying actually? I'm not sure if all of this. It's a list of
Functions that return something
something.
unspecified.
Okay. And that. Okay. What else
One
is
thing
there?
I'm concerned with
Mm,
before as we're implementing this
mm,
is that we might end up making infinite recursion because
mm.
we're using lib in order to
Override lib or overlay lib.
yeah, I think this is okay if we have two versions of lib, one to
Mm,
make the option and the
mm-hmm,
type.
mm-hmm.
Like we do that with the original,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we'd have another version of lib um, that is after the overlay, that is the one. Yeah. So what's important here is that we don't use the lib that we used in this module is the original, the very original, and not the one from the argument.
Okay. So like the yeah, okay. I okay. I guess we'll find out whether we have an issue or not. Um
Yes.
okay,
So we have the
so
type.
yep.
Let's add a default value for this.
Mm-hmm.
Empty list, I suppose. No overlays.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Now we need um, to use this
Okay. Yeah.
option.
Should we just do a flake check to see if this gets
Well, this will not work because, and you can your editor already tells you that it's not working because there's undefined use of undefined binding lib like 4 times.
yeah. Okay.
So we need, but we are obtaining the original lib on line 4.
Right.
So let's
Yeah.
take that and put that in a binding before the function returns the adder set.
Okay. Yeah, so how do we do that? I'm not sure I followed completely,
So
but
between the parameter, between the colon on line 1
mm-hmm.
and the adder set literal after it, add a let in and
Okay.
add a binding lib. And the right hand side, the expression will be that import that we have there,
Uh
the existing import. We'll be moving it there.
okay. So this whole bus
No, just the import.
this that
Correct. Now we have the original lib, right?
okay, so we've got a snapshotted the original lib. Okay. And then
So those
the,
errors are gone. We
yeah,
have
okay.
lib in scope.
Okay. And then Is this?
This will be replaced
Uh-huh.
with using the overlays, with applying the overlays on top of the original lib.
Okay.
Make
So this
sense?
should this just be lib then, like that?
It should be lib,
Mm-hmm.
and then on top of lib there is a attribute extend. We'll call that with the overlays, I think. The NixVim documentation has an example of that. Or maybe not the documentation, certainly the oh, it seems that this does not take a list. You can look inside NixVim lib overlay.nix. Oh, that's the file. Yeah.
Yeah.
You see
Oh,
examples. Lib.extend.
okay. So essentially this importing the file
Oh,
directly
look what I
using.
noticed.
Mm.
Look at the top. You see the example?
Mm-hmm.
Flake equals NixVim.
Yeah. Instead of flake false.
No, this is not the same. It's not equivalent.
Mm. Oh, okay. Like that's a different flake attribute.
It's unrelated to the input something dot flake.
Okay.
This overlay seems to require the flake. See how it is used in line 30?
Mm-hmm.
In line 30, a file called top level, at the top level of the lib,
Mm.
is imported and then called with nix packages lib, right? The first argument. But not only that, the flake as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. No, that's coming from here. Yeah.
So this file is not an overlay,
Mm-hmm.
right? This file is a function that returns an overlay.
Okay.
Right? If you just remove line 1,
Mm-hmm.
then it looks like an overlay. Of course, then flake would be missing.
Yes.
So the very top level of this, the NixVim lib,
Mm-hmm.
you can follow on to that file.
Like in here?
Yes. You can see it's a function that, just like we saw it being called after being imported, takes line 18 and 19. The lib,
Mm-hmm.
original, right? Nix packages lib and flake. And there's documentation here that says flake is the NixVim flake.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the NixVim flake is probably passed on to line 48. That's the only place it is passed on to.
Mm-hmm.
and who knows where it goes to from there,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So I would say this is not ideal, and I would like this to change.
Mm-hmm.
But as it stands, I don't see a way around it.
Okay.
The flake here is hard coded.
Yeah. You mean using basically to use NixVim, we need to use its flake.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is okay. It'll work. And
It'll
the
work.
Nix, yes, the Nix, and here's how you can find out, if you just change it to remove the flake equal false, and you
Mm-hmm.
generate the flake.nix again.
That was in. Wait, what am I doing here? Where did I have that file? Okay, so I guess this Nix packages, maybe we just comment this all out for now because probably this is not going to work out the way we had hoped.
Nix packages. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that. I hope
That's okay.
we at least learned a few things.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so probably this is. Okay. So just make sure I have this right. There's a problem with the formatting, and it's giving me a suggestion of what it should do, but in
This
order
is
to
not
do it,
formatting.
isn't okay. Well, so there's some stuff.
See the name of the derivation, the beginning of the line. Each line of
Mm-hmm.
the build output, when we're talking about flakes,
Mm-hmm.
tells you which derivation, the p name,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Okay.
is flake file.
Check flake file. Yeah. Yeah. But okay. So
This is because we have removed flake equals false.
yeah, I guess it's basically just. It seems like it's a formatting.
It's not formatting. Flake equals false should not be there anymore, but it is there. We need to write the flake again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This is formatting.
Okay. I'm just gonna delete the. Yeah. this whole file from just go away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You can't have an empty file and try to import it as a
Okay.
module.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay. So back to
A file called NixVim flake output.
yeah, which is this was directly from your repo. I don't think I've modified anything here.
But there is something that we should probably do additionally,
Mhm.
because if you do a NixFlake metadata now, we demonstrate the problem. Are you sure you wrote the flake file? Because I don't see that.
This guy, the flake outputs.
No, I expect NixVim to have some sub inputs, but it has none.
Um, sorry, you said you expected in the NixFlake metadata that you would expect NixVim to have some
Inputs.
like, yeah, like some
Inputs under it,
mhm,
just like flake
like
parts does.
you're right. Okay.
It does not, though. Can we
Yeah.
do? Can we look at the log file?
Sure.
Can we do a Nix? You did do a NixFlake check, but can we look at the log file? Because I suspect something funny is going on. Either,
Okay.
look, another option is that they have actually removed the inputs.
Mm-hmm.
I have a possibly older, I have, my revision of NixVim is from May 5th,
I
a few
see.
days ago. Did they, between then and now, removed the inputs? I don't know. Or can we look at the log file? Not their log file, our log file.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can just pull it up in the editor.
Yes. Search for NixVim. Ooh, look at that. Yo, this looks like a bug in Nix.
What do you mean?
What's the first attribute under NixVim?
Flake equals false. Oh, interesting. Wait, we got rid of. Oh. So we initially introduced it as an input with flake equals false, and then we subsequently changed it to be
We
not
didn't change it.
specified.
Right,
We
not set.
removed it. Yeah. So I guess we could go and do flake equals true and see if that.
Yeah, it's like the default is not explicit. The default is whatever the log file has.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no manifest default. There is just creation log file creation time default or something like that.
I see.
Yeah. Oh, you know what to do.
Okay, so let me try. Uh,
NixFlake metadata.
yeah, that file
Mm,
changed though.
maybe NixFlake metadata just reads the log file, does not trigger anything. Try NixFlake check. Yeah, that looks different. Now, check again. Wait.
So this file still has. So I have this line. I
Yes.
did the right file.
And did it end up in the flake.nix?
Still says true.
Not the log file.
Uh,
Flake.nix?
oh yeah. No,
No. Make sure you save the.
that's definitely saved.
Yeah.
But
Generate.
yeah, didn't touch
Okay.
that.
Is that file known to Git?
Flake input.
Yes.
Yes. This one is not. Don't have anything. Like we're not doing anything with that outputs yet. Okay, since we're getting into the Twilight Zone, I don't have Vim open.
Can you do a Git reset? Do you see how there are changes now? Flake input is both. It's like some of it is staged and some of it
Uh-huh.
is just not staged. Do a Git reset.
Just get reset, nothing else.
Yes. Nothing else. Now do git add with big N.
Is that the one or sorry, NixVim, right? Just the input.
And then everything else we need.
Well, so yeah, we have.
Okay. Looks good.
Yeah.
Try again.
Um, no.
Okay. So there is. So look, there's a mismatch between flake file and how flakes actually work,
Okay.
right? Because flake file does not realize that if flake equals true is explicitly specified, it
Mm,
needs to end up in the flake.nix. It
yeah,
simply omits it.
it's not. It's not doing that. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So I will make a note to report that.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
I guess in the meantime, Uh, just turfing this NixVim adder set and then the NixVim from the root. It's, I don't
No,
know.
don't edit the log file. Edit. We can remove the input.
Okay. So remove it from schedules. Like just comment this whole thing out.
Yes. Wait, hold on. Do some operation that will actually cause the log file to recalculate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, what I just did was only going to regenerate the flake.nix, but then,
Yes.
what's the right way to regenerate? Is it
NixFlake metadata might do it. See the red line?
okay? Removed input. Yeah. Okay. So that will update the lock file to
That's what it
reflect.
meant. It removed it from the log file.
Yeah. Okay. And that's because it noticed a discrepancy between the Nix file and the lock file. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So now if I go back and do this and
You can
probably,
remove flake.true because that does not get generated anyway.
yeah, this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And now, okay, so it's showing up there. And then here, it's not in the lock file yet. Um, okay, so I added, okay, so now it's done what you were expecting to see, which is there's these, what are these called? Sub packages or sub
They are the
modules?
inputs of the input, and there is even a second or third level, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them is duplicate, flake parts.
Okay, we have it at our top level.
Yeah.
And they're both at the same SHA.
Coincidence.
Yeah. Okay. Just the stars aligned. Okay.
Yes. And another one is duplicate. You could say, oh, well, I want reliability, so I will allow my NixVim to have its own pinned Nix packages. It'll be different than the rest of my Nix packages.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could trust
Yeah.
the tests.
Right. Right. Like, so this Nix package is coming from GitHub at this SHA, whereas our top level Nix packages is from that other URL. And possibly they are the same because, yeah, they see the same. I see the same SHA mentioned, but yeah, it's,
Yes. Coincidence.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so, like, part of what we were trying to do prior to learning that the world is not quite as progressive as we had hoped, was to avoid this essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there is a way. And you
Okay.
know it follows, right?
It follows, right? Yeah. Okay.
But that way does not compose very well.
Okay. Um. Okay. So then to do that, um, is that simply directly in this flake input.nix? We just do
Yes.
nix.
Inputs.
Is it something like that?
Yes.
Wait, is it in this? Am I in the right header set to do this?
You are.
Okay. And then this should be what? Just, I guess I need to reference it from somewhere, right? Just coming from an argument.
You can do string Nix packages. This is like loosely typed because it will not be checked by the evaluation, but I think you will either get a warning or an error from the Nix flake logic telling you, hey, you're trying to follow something that doesn't exist.
Okay.
But there are two inputs we want to follow.
Oh, flake parts as well.
I would.
Yeah. And then same thing.
Correct.
Okay. And then I want to write the file or write flake.
Correct. You can skip this step. Just do Nix flake metadata.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. I'm still Fred Flintstoning it here. I don't know if are you familiar with the Flintstones?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then we see that all is well.
What year would you guess I was born?
I want to guess 1984.
Thank you. It's 1987.
Okay. Okay. Not too far. What year would you guess I was born?
Same as you said for
Okay.
me.
Yeah. 1979.
Mm.
A little bit in the other direction, but yeah. Yeah, I grew up actually. So I didn't have TV. We had TV for a few years, and then my parents just got rid of cable, so we had VHS for a number of years, and then we got the internet like in early '90s, maybe or late '80s, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fun times. The world was a very
79 is the atomic number for what element?
ooh. I should. I don't know. It's some heavy metal. I don't know what.
That's correct. I'll give you the symbol as well. AU.
Okay. Oh, gold.
Correct.
I have a close friend that I met in 6th grade whose name is Auric, Auric.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
not a
neat.
very common name, but yeah, very relevant. He was born in '78, though. I think he's a little older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So we have
okay,
followed flake parts and Nix packages. Systems
yeah,
is mostly irrelevant, and it's not a duplicate either. So
yeah, okay,
whatever. And it's also
yeah,
tiny, tiny, tiny.
okay. It also appears to be quite old. What is that? I will go look that up later.
It's just a list of systems. That's all it
Okay,
is.
okay. It's like all the supported systems like Arch, ARch64 and Darwin, whatever. Those names.
Yes. This is another flake. How do you say flake idiom, or
Idiom, yeah, yeah.
it's
Kind of.
part of the default flake schema. That's what it is.
Okay.
to have a list. Well, not to have a list of systems, but it caters to producing, per system outputs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Now we have the NixVim input as a flake, and we can access flake outputs. That's what that means. That's the benefit here. It was forced upon us. I'll send you the issue as soon as I file it.
Okay.
And now we have access to its own lib. So we can get back to producing the NixVim output.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So this is, should this work as is then?
Well, mostly except that you don't have a value at config.flake.modules.nixvim.base.
Okay.
You need to make you need to instead of this, basically you could just replace this with an empty adder set. Now I don't know whether NixVim has some required options, right?
Mm.
But let's try.
Okay. So just so I understand, this is an option that you have in your repo declared somewhere as well as defined elsewhere, which I do not have, right?
Declared, the declaration of config.flake.modules comes from a optional additional module provided by Flake parts.
Okay.
If you import it, you get this option, config.flake.modules. It's useful. It's very simple and very useful. I use it all the time.
Okay.
It is core to the dendritic pattern.
Okay.
And we will use it in a moment if this works or if it doesn't work.
Sure. Okay. Let me see if this thing goes. I guess I have an extra argument up here, which press that for now. What do I want to do? Do I want to write the flake, or the flake is already written? It's not going to change.
Try an
right?
Xflake show. Or maybe that'll fail because of the pipe operator. Yeah. Okay. Then let's go into the REPL. Nix REPL dot. Okay. Packages. Because that's what's in the file, right?
Actually, I've forgotten. I'm getting tired, but
That's okay. Press tab.
yeah.
Your system.
So 36. Yeah, it's
Not here. Maybe it's not added to Git.
correct. Okay. So yeah, do I need to rerun the write file or write flake or no? Just
No.
no. Next flake check or just show? No.
Nix REPL.
Okay. NixVim. Okay. That wasn't there before, right?
It is a derivation.
Okay. But previously it was not. Like when we were in the REPL prior to this, it was like not. It was not in that. We were looking for it, and there
Correct.
was. Yeah.
It's not. This is
Yeah. Okay.
as soon as we added the file to Git,
Mm-hmm.
this module was part of the configuration and produced. These attributes are not interesting. We're not going
Mm-hmm.
to access them. We're just going to build this thing,
Okay.
but we don't even need to like build it. We can skip that and just run it, right? And it'll be built for us with Nix run.
Sure. Okay. So just get out of the REPL then.
Correct.
Just
Nix run.
next run what?
.hash NixVim. Getting Python. And
Sweet.
we have the default NixVim.
Okay. Which is a good starting point.
Now, NixVim is not a distribution, so this doesn't have much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far this is from a default NeoVim.
Mm-hmm.
Probably has a few things, I don't know, that are like more like a skeleton of
Yeah.
that makes it extensible in the NixVim way,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't have any plugins, I would assume,
Yeah. Yeah.
or key bindings or anything like that. It's just a good starting place.
Sure. Okay. This seems like a good stopping point. I guess this error that shows up when we do NixFlake show.
This can be corrected by adding pipe operators experimental feature to your
Yeah, like
Nix
a command line
configuration.
or that we had pipe operators. We
You
had a
should
pipe.
have in your, you can open the file, edit it. It's a .config in your home. Nix.
Oops, that's not what I meant to do. What did I just open? Um,
That.
but
That,
okay, so
that should do it.
yeah, okay,
Later on, you can generate this file from Home Manager.
okay, yeah, that seems like so it's like,
Show. That's what we try to
yeah,
do.
okay, cool.
That's my infra. Don't do that. That's my infra repo you're in, not yours.
Oh, okay, oops, yeah, yeah, I'm getting tired. Okay, so Okay. Good catch. Thanks.
Welcome.
Okay. 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 And so I guess the ability to run this through the flake would work on a non-NixOS system, but then if we want it to be more friendly, we would need Home Manager to make it just in path somewhere.
In path and also configure as your default editor.
Right. Okay. Cool. Well, I think that's good for now, and we can call it for tonight, I think, or for your morning.
It is nearly 1 p.m. here.
Your afternoon.
Awesome work,
Yeah.
Luke.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. Hopefully it all soaks in.